And we are on the air. Welcome, everybody, to part two of Cupid, the free to play visual novel. So, today we're going to get started with chapter two, and we'll see how long that takes us, and then we might play some Sacred 2. I have a bit of a surprise for you guys about that game, so stay tuned.
Is it
Anyway,
surprising that you didn't rage quit?
yeah, that, aside from that, anyway, let's get going. So this was in chapter 2, and if you recall, all this shit was happening. So
Indeed, that was shit that happened.
it's funny, is it not?
Uh,
They always leave you. Such is the way of the world. The more you love, the more you lose.
is that a
Oh,
story about gambling?
yes. Oh, it seems like they'll stay forever, but they never do. I'm the only one who stays, my lovely Rose. My love is the only love you need. You were always so weak, always so loving to people who didn't deserve it. I told you to get rid of her, didn't I? I told you to be wary. I knew it from the start, my Rose.
Yep. Thinking about it, I
She
just
was
I just now
nothing
noticed
but
it.
selfish. What?
Um, why is it that in France our character is named Rosa? That's much more of a Spanish name, you'd think.
Probably just because they named her after the fact that she sells roses.
But the word for rose in French is different. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but
It's, I don't know. Just imagine that the pun is equally witty in French.
yeah, no, rose in French is just rose.
I mean, it works even better that way.
Anyways, which dialogue do we want to take?
She was nothing but selfish. Ah. Ah. You fought so hard. You never used to fight with me. But now she's killed herself. Your sacrifice lost in her selfish ways. I knew she would just cause you pain. I'm glad you're back to me. I was so worried about you, darling. She almost led you astray. Away from me. Trust in Mother, darling. I'm just glad to have you back to myself.
Uh,
Your silence bothers me, child.
she was important to me, Mother. I I loved her.
Mother only laughed as Rosa screamed out her pain.
Ow.
Rosa felt strong arms shake her awake. It's the
I'm
police!
gonna kill you.
Rosa! She opened her eyes and was hit by strange sadness that crushed her. She was dazed for a moment. Why was she so sad? And then she remembered. Her best friend was gone. She was gone. Rosa? How are you feeling? Guilleme sat by her bed, a hand in hers. Rosa didn't realize she had been holding onto it tightly in her fitful sleep. She broke from his grasp and clutched her knees. Rosa? She remained silent. I came to check up on you. You went into shock and lost consciousness. I can only imagine how hard it must have been for you to see her. Like that. His words echoed in her brain, yet she did not register much of their meaning. Rosa still refused to speak, and Guilleme fidgeted with his glove. The wake will take place as soon as possible, Rosa. I just wanted to let you know that she's being taken care of. He's hiding something. There was a slight triumph in Mother's voice.
Uh,
He wants to get rid of her body as soon as possible. Don't you see it, child? Tell me you're not falling for this. Rosa was tired. Mother, always the cynic, would say such things. She hated anyone who came close to Rosa's heart. Rosa didn't want to hear it. She didn't want to deal with anything right now. All she wanted to do was wallow in her loneliness. to curl up inside the hole Catherine had left behind and to sleep. Holy shit,
Oh,
is
finally we
Catherine...
know who.
Is Catherine
That's
dead?
I'm gonna guess so, given by everything that's been stated.
Holy shit! I thought she was just having, like, a medical problem that we were gonna, like...
Or I thought this was semi-flashbacky.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, I thought this was, like, a friend that she had lost in the past, but nope,
Yeah,
Catherine's...
just to let you know, you're stuttering auto-tuning right now.
Oh, I don't
I've
know.
closed out all the other programs I have, and I'm still on, like, poor internet connection, so...
That's it. Yeah, don't worry about it too much. I I'm pretty sure that it's coming through the stream properly. So,
Okay, good.
or at least I hope so. Our bitrate is solid, so I'm assuming.
Well, I'm just letting you know, if I pause for a while, it's because the image hasn't loaded correctly yet, and so I don't know what I need to read.
That's fine. My child, tell me you see it. Oh shit. I don't even know what to choose.
Hmm.
I want to believe Guilleme is a good guy. I want to believe Gilly. So
But if we say the first one, then that implies that she was afraid of him. No matter what we do, we implicate Gilly.
I like the first one better though because it's less direct.
Right.
And
We can hope that Rosa doesn't figure it out.
Yeah. Let's hope that Rosa. All right. You've seen it, haven't you? She was mostly hostile, but sometimes when her sanity returned, she was afraid. Afraid of this man! How well do you even know him, child?
Don't you love it when games give you choices and then say
And then they don't actually matter.
something opposite of what you chose?
Yup.
Like Mass Effect 2, choosing I'm not working with Cerberus says I'm only working with Cerberus for these reasons. It's like, God damn it. And I hated that group. Anyways, I've known him for as long as I knew Catherine, Mother. He's a close friend.
I didn't ask how long you've known him, but how well. Beyond the mask that he displays in public view, do you even know his past? Do you even know any of his ambitions or secrets?
He was always a private man, Mother.
Think back, child. Isn't it curious how all his past relationships ended in disaster? Everything he touches crumbles.
That is not enough to accuse him of anything.
You idiot. He is different. He doesn't belong. You've felt it too, haven't you? Rosa looked at Guilleme with new eyes now. A hint of doubt slithered from beneath her sadness. Rosa wanted something to blame, a cask for all her regrets. Guilleme seemed like the perfect candidate, didn't he? Yes, you're finally seeing it. Open your eyes, child. It made sense. Guilleme and Catherine's relationship began to pewter off into coldness right before she died. Her mental instability only served to compound the fracture in their relationship. Perhaps Guilleme was tired of her and had killed her off for convenience? Or perhaps Catherine, in her psychotic state, killed herself to spite him. Rosa stared at the man beside her.
Also, now he's got like a cape thingy going on?
I don't know. He's not to be trusted, child. He is a demon. Guilleme returned Rosa's angry stare with a resolute look. I know you must hate me, Rosa. I'm aware that I only aggravated Catherine's condition with my presence. I know the feeling when I am not wanted. He stood up, a hard yet kind look on his face. Just remember that I will always be here for you. As much as I was there for Catherine, even though she spat me out. Rosa bit her lip. When Catherine had refused to eat, it had been Guilleme who fed her and attended to her. Despite Catherine hurling abuse at him, he had tried to care for the sick woman himself. Lies! All lies! Keeping up appearances.
Then what is it he has done, Mother? Besides render you into an unintelligible audio-tune mess.
Shut up. I'll say what I want in whatever tone I want, Rosa.
Yeah, I
Auto-tuner,
literally couldn't
no.
understand any of that.
Beautiful.
Catherine committed suicide. Oh,
Video
Skype
lag,
froze, I
video
think.
lag. Don't you love all this video lag?
Yeah, I think it's because my parents are streaming a video upstairs.
God damn it. Alex's parents, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this.
Alright, do you want to switch? How do we want to do this? Because we've only been playing this for 10 minutes.
Right. Sorry, collective Twitch stream people.
Alright, so we basically have two options. We can either, you know, stop this right now and move on to a different game entirely, and then just not save it, and then come back to this later and redo this entire scene. Because I'm not gonna just put up a 10-minute video, that's silly.
Right.
Or we can try to finagle it in such a way that we can still do this. I don't like the idea of having you watch the stream because that's like a 15-second delay or whatever.
Right. And we just got back into the... It's somewhat working now, so I'm not sure what... Maybe that was just a lag spike?
Alright.
Let's hope that was the case.
Alright. Do you want to read the line and then we'll see if this still works? Alright, cool.
It was not by his hand that she died.
Are you just going to leave it at that? Look at his face and tell me you trust him wholeheartedly. Rosa tried to search for the answer in Guilleme's eyes, but, as always, his face betrayed only few emotions.
I don't know. Okay, really quick meta thing. I'm very happy because the screen did not update at all right up until my line.
Wonderful. Mother was screaming now. He killed her. I am sure he did. And you're letting him get away with it.
Please, my head hurts.
And you say you loved her. You never loved her, you selfish child. I've always known you were this selfish. Just like your father. Sorry.
Oh, do I have a line here? Oh.
Yep.
Stop.
Look at all these blatant signs of schizophrenia. You throw people away. Didn't you throw me away when I inconvenienced you? Admit it. You were secretly relieved that I died.
Well, obviously not, because you're back. No, stop it.
She screamed back at that last voice. Guilleme was seriously freaked the fuck out. Her mouth quivered. Guilleme stared at Rosa in shock. The outburst had accidentally come out aloud. Pulled a plug that kept the tears from pouring out. Now her vision clouded, and she blinked them away again and again. She was not sobbing. She did not even realize that her face was wet. Guilleme and Rosa stared at each other, both kindred in their sorrow. He knelt by Rosa's bed and wiped her tears with his hand. He did not say anything while doing this, as Rosa stared blankly ahead. It almost stunned her how many tears a person's eyes could carry. I loved her too, Rosa. He said it after a while. I know what you're feeling. She didn't know if it was her own or if Mother's anger was somehow influencing her, but her chest heaved. She balled up her fists so tightly her fingernails hurt.
Shut up.
She spat, and the man recoiled at the uncharacteristic bitterness of her words.
Catherine was afraid of you in her last days.
Oh no! This decision is coming back to bite us in the ass.
What? You did something to her. I know it. You were the one who caused all the lag spikes.
You were the one. She could feel Mother inside her head, building up her anger. He has to be punished.
Dinky punishment?
It's your line.
Yeah. You're to blame.
Alright, there we go. He has to atone. Rosa, girl,
I know you're guilty.
Down. Calm down, Rosa. He must be punished. Guilleme stared at her dumbfounded for a few seconds, but the man didn't try to appease her. He only stepped closer to Rosa and wrapped his arms around the hysterical girl. Oh, some really sad harp is playing now.
Fuck off, harp. Let go of me. I hate you. Let me go.
But Guilleme did not. If you need something to hate, then I'll accept your hate. But you must accept my comfort as well. I need you too right now, Rosa. You are the only one who loved her as much as I did. Guilleme's words brought...
Are we forgetting about her dad?
I don't know. I think something might be going on with the dad that the story's not telling us. Guilleme's words...
He went back to the antebellum.
He did. He sold his piano. Guilleme's words brought back Catherine in Rosa's mind. Almost at once, anger was replaced with a sadness so heavy she couldn't breathe. Why was she so angry again? She was focusing on anger instead of pain. It was easier. The real tears came. All for the loss of the girl they both loved. Tomorrow was not going to come. There was only right now the loss and two friends mourning a loved one.
And Mom poking Rosa with a stick in the back of the head.
Rosa cried until she thought she wouldn't be able to stop, and Guilleme quietly held her. Slowly, her weeping subsided into sobs, and only then did he speak once more. Stay in the chateau, Rosa. I know you're thinking of leaving now that Catherine's gone, but I can't let you wander those streets again. I will take care of you. It's what Catherine would have wanted. Like a spell being broken, these words brought back her anger. Yeah, I was gonna say. That's kind of... You don't say that.
How could you possibly know what Catherine wants?
She pushed his arms away from her, and all of a sudden, he looked exactly the same as he has for this entire novel.
She's dead.
Guilleme's mouth pursed, and he stepped away.
I want you to go. Please, leave me.
Guilleme sighed and closed his eyes. I understand. He turned on his heels and left without another word. And the harp was still really sad. Hours seemed like minutes to her. She would fall asleep and awaken in unfit intervals so often that she lost the exact time. Awake, she would stare at a part of the wall with no coherent thoughts forming in her mind. One would think morning should be spent in a depressive frenzy. All the reasons to grieve are yours, after all. She could wail now if she wanted, pull on her hair, curse the skies. She could reminisce the past, admire the frailty of human lives. Unfortunately, it was something far less poetic. Pain was simple. It was clean. It was a well-sharpened knife that sliced through the heart in one stroke. No blood, no mess. Empty. When tears were spent, there was just a hole where your heart had been. The hurt called out to you. It lingered. But since there was nothing there anymore, you couldn't find where the pain ended and you began. Rosa slept all day. The sun had gone down twice before she moved from her bed. She stood up slowly and deliberately without a purpose.
With a purpose.
My child, you know I hurt when you're hurt. Already a surge of power flowed within her, fueled
Maybe
by
that
her
explains
grief.
the masochism.
The power filled her up, and there was so much emptiness inside that the energy seemed to saturate her whole body. Purpose was always a balm for grief.
Mother, tell me what to do.
Oh, fuck! An actual choice. Hold on.
Justice.
Alright, which one of these is killing Guilleme? Because I know we're gonna go there. So which one?
Um, I would prefer justice, but that could very well lead to murder
Killing
times.
Guilleme, yeah. But what's retribution?
Kinky sex.
No.
It's too early for that.
Neither of these sound like good options.
Justice sounds like the better one.
You know what? I'm gonna save scum this.
I mean, you have it saved both in. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
So which one?
Let's start with justice.
Start with his guilt, child. Then deliver your punishment fitting for one so vile. Mature filters still on.
Good.
He cannot get away with this. I knew it! I knew it was gonna happen! Rosa didn't speak, but she started to form the words in her mind, feeling them in her bones, giving life to every thought. She took a small knife and carved a symbol on the floor.
I told you she was a witch.
It didn't need much, a guilt spell. It didn't aim to punish. It only aimed to inform. She needed to know how much the guilt the man carried, and the source of such guilt. If the guilt was concrete and came from a direct action, she would know Guilleme did something to Catherine. It had been a while. Yeah! 18th century magical realism, bitch!
18th century. Physics and magic were different back then.
Used to be the only way she could protect herself from the world. Mother had taught her. And now, Mother guided her as she cast her spell. She needed a possession of the man. Rosa opted for his voice, still fresh from memory.
Is that how possessions work?
Oh shit. If you need something to hate, I will take care of you.
Okie dokie.
I need you. His rose made Rosa... His words made Rosa feel distress and confusion. Always it was this way with him. The feeling wasn't foreign. It had been there for years. I will always be here for you. Rosa felt a violent force upturn her stomach. It was that horrid lurch just before vomiting. You failed! The spell collapsed in her brain.
Darn it, I was...
You idiot child, or you'll lose your chance. Rosa tried again. This time she focused on his eyes. Cold, like flints of steel, dark and fathomless. No grief except, perhaps, for the situation. No Catherine. No pain of loss. This didn't matter to her. Their relationship was dying anyway. Where was his guilt? Rosa dug deeper. She increased the chanting on her lips. No torment, no uncertainty, no guilt. Did the spell fail again? She searched once more and found nothing. There was no guilt in Guilleme's eyes. She could stop the spell now, knowing that he was innocent. If the spell had worked, then Guilleme was blameless, but this absence
Who was the real killer?
was most distressing. Rosa desperately pushed her mind further, almost wishing there were traces hiding behind her reach. Guilt should be present in any loss, no matter how little. Don't we blame ourselves for our own loss? Don't we hate ourselves and punish ourselves, even if it wasn't our fault? It didn't have to be real, but we need guilt to feel pain. But Guilleme didn't have a sliver of guilt. The vicious pain took hold of her again, squeezing her stomach with murderous intent. The pain was so great, Rosa wasn't sure if the spell had failed or succeeded. Something is wrong. Before Rosa could agree with Mother, she felt a sharp pain in her throat. Rosa clutched her neck, scraping and scratching. A sharp, jagged lump was blocking her breathing. She could feel its edges crawl up her windpipe, tearing the soft walls as it moved about. The pain did not stop. Rosa fell to her knees and gagged. She thrashed about like a woman being strangled. Mother remained calm, unaffected by Rosa's distress. Rosa was about to expel whatever it was. Tears ran down her face. The horrible acidic taste coated her tongue. Finally, she opened her mouth and forced the vile thing out. She kept her eyes shut, afraid to look at whatever had come out of her. But the choking feeling gripped her and she puked again. She spat after she vomited. Her spit felt heavy and thick in her mouth, gathered around her knees in a growing pool. Rosa panted. Every breath of hers was laced with pain, but the gruesome effect had finally stopped. She wiped the sweat off her forehead. Something on the floor reflected light. She struggled to comprehend what was in front of her. She reached out her hand, and the prick of something sharp made her recoil. She tried again, this time seeing more clearly. Rosa picked them up with shaking hands. Needles. In her palms were a handful of long, metal needles. Rosa examined them with a horrified kind of curiosity. She stuck one in her thumb, and it drew blood. They were real. They materialized in her throat while casting the spell on Guilleme. Rosa wiped her mouth. There was something wrong with him. Something potent and dark. Or could it be that she had merely botched the spell horribly? She'd pushed her limits this time. She had gone too far. But still, a tugging concern was forming. It was as real as the metal needles in her hand. Rosa tried to stand up on her feet, but she was exhausted. Her knees failed her, and she crumpled on the floor like a rag.
Get bottom of this.
How do I quick save? Yeah. We must get to the bottom of this. Are you quite all right, my darling? Now you see it too. There's a sinister force at work. Get up. We have a lot of work to do. We must find out what he is and stop him. Rosa stared at the needles in her hand. Who are you really, Guilleme?
Or is it a third party at work?
Chapter 3. Oh, that was cool. I like that.
What?
That entire scene was awesome.
Oh, the scene?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is it alright if we do commentary, or should I stop talking all the time?
Oh no, go for commentary. Yeah, we have a break to talk right now.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, personally, I think there's a third party at work. I don't know about you.
I think Guilleme is also a magic user and had like a counter spell around him.
I think that's fair to say.
Just in
but
case.
I'm saying he isn't guilty of the murder.
I want to trust him. I want to trust him so bad, but this is not helping his case.
No.
Also, the fact that we literally
just...
can't make any decisions that aren't snarky is starting to get to me.
Yeah, I'd like some actual decisions, please. Because I'm guessing that Retribution just does the exact same thing.
I mean, it might have done something absolutely different, though.
It could have. I mean, we can go check.
It could have killed him. I think we should, like, keep everything... everything
I was gonna say, we have the save, file from before we made the decision. We might as well check.
I think we, like, might want to save that, though. Like, leave some stuff for the audience to find out. And just see where this path takes us before we start going back and fiddling with stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we've been playing this for half an hour. Do you want to stop now that we've gotten to Chapter 3? Or try to book it to Chapter 4?
My internet is clearing up a bit, so...
Book it to 4?
Yeah, book it. Plus, whenever my parents finish their documentary, internet should be fine, so...
Alrighty. Chapter 4 it is. Rosa entered the room with a tray of pastries and a pot of tea. Her duties were finished, and she was allowed a bit of free time. She thought of accompanying Catherine for today's piano lesson.
Is this between...
Either dream sequence or flashback. It's gotta be one.
Or this just isn't told in
linear style. Yeah.
Kath, do you want some tea?
The girl didn't look her way. She continued to churn out the bitter, melancholic sound from her piano. Rosa sighed, her shoulders slumped. Her shoulders slumped in defeat. She placed the food on the table. She sat on the stool beside the piano, twiddling her thumbs while her friend continued to stew in her foul mood.
Is that a new composition? It sounds nice.
I guess this is during her affliction.
Right. Nowadays, you make a new piece every day. It's a shame they're all so sad.
Catherine didn't reply to that, but when she did speak again, her words were bitter. I saw them again, Oh, hold on. I have to get into my Catherine voice. I saw them again, those degenerate louts. No shame at all.
Kath.
All right. Consenting damn adults and all that. At least have the decency to close the door.
What the hell are you talking about?
Sometimes I dare say that they want to get caught. When I walked in on them this morning, eating each other's faces, they had this look on them. Like they were daring me to say something. Quoi? Do they want my applause? Very nice technique, sire. I very much like the way you swap your spit with my sister. Great tongue action. What?
Très merveilleux.
Très merveilleux.
I don't
I guess the rumors about Guilleme were true.
Yeah.
And he even has the gall to speak with me. Be a dear and put them on the table, Catherine, he even said, like I'm a soft-headed giggle mug of a maid. He wanted me to get annoyed, I just know it. Well, fâché, I am. Catherine turned to the tea and pastries, stuffing the buttered bread into her mouth.
Easy there.
These damn things. These damn delicious fucking bread buns! She said the last part angrily, as if she blamed her troubles on the food's relish. Rosa giggled in spite herself. Catherine wiped her mouth in mock anger. What are you laughing at, wench?
It's almost comical to watch you eat when you're angry, Kath. You're like a giant monster that attacks defenseless towns in horror books. Was that actually... I don't think that was really common in 18...
Oh, yeah? Catherine made sad, tiny squeals and picked up another piece of bread. No, no, please, spare us! She adjusted her voice and boomed out a roar. The Catharinian monster of the deep doesn't show mercy to anyone! She dropped it in her mouth and chewed, savagely. Yum! Annihilation is delicious with tea. The two girls giggled. Catherine's rare smile turned into a rueful laugh, and soon Rosa felt her mood turning somber again.
You know, Annihilation is delicious with tea would be a great name for a heavy metal album.
It's also a great quote in general.
Yeah, especially without context. What happened anyway?
Aren't you annoyed by it too? Sister's changed ever since she started helping in the chateau. Now it's all Guilleme this, Guilleme that. As if she wasn't already married. Ugh. She doesn't even care that people are talking behind her back. Tired of running around picking fights with gossipers. She hasn't even visited home for a long time. Father misses her a lot. He always asks about her. Father had worked so hard all these years just to give us a comfortable life. Now he is sick. Now we know what happened to the dad. And all she cares about is that dastardly Marquis. Rosa shrugged.
I am a little bit annoyed that I haven't been invited for a threesome. But I guess I've gotten used to it. Their lives are their own, Kath.
She didn't dare divulge more than that to Catherine. But it was partially true. I like Guilleme. He's a nice friend. But I love my sister. They want to stay together, then why not fix this and have at it? What irritates me to my damn snatch is the way they are with each other. Catherine recently found the use of expletives endearing in her speech. Rosa hoped it was a phase. They're miserable. Any half-wit can see that.
Yeah.
I've told Emily time and time again to smarten up. She's hurting a lot of people, including herself. But as if she would listen to her 16-year-old brat of a sister, huh? Oh, she's 16
so like
now.
a decade has passed.
Shit. Even Guilleme is depressed, I can tell. Remember when he used to come and visit us here to have tea? Or when we used to have picnics in the afternoon? We used to run around chasing rodents in the garden.
So a decade has passed and all the characters look exactly the same.
Rosa got a different haircut. Like a really different haircut. Like she has,
Oh, yeah.
Like she has cropped bangs now and a ponytail.
But you know what I mean, there's really no showing of aging.
Yeah. I thought it was weird that Catherine was so tall in this scene. Because she's almost as tall as Rosa now.
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice that. You ran around. We just watched you get dirty, actually.
That is very true, you nitheads. Back then it used to be fun visiting the chateau. Nowadays we barely even see him. Just stays in his bureau all day, brooding. Is it something adults subject themselves to, like a torture ritual? I really don't understand why two people who are clearly unhappy keep at it. Rosa did understand. At
And you should
least,
know too, you're an adult at this point.
at least some part of her did. She couldn't exactly explain how pain and love work. All she knew was that it had something to do with an absurd, obsessive amount of hope. She felt Mugger tugging at her mind.
I mean, Mother is an emotional mugger.
She loved Mother so much. Living with the Perriers gave her ample comparison to her former life. She had finally accepted that Mother was cruel. And yet, Mother still gave her love and kept her from wanting. Was that crazy? Perhaps it was the only love she needed. Perhaps it was what she deserved. Rosa shook the thoughts off her mind and just shrugged.
I know you're worried about your sister, Kath. But they will figure it out. Humans learn.
I love that, subtle indication that Rosa is not human. Look at you, all profound and such. You read any good books lately?
Just the riveting account of the Ugly Duckling and the Baba Black Sheep.
Ah, the classics. Don't know how you put up with it, though. I hate reading words.
In order to write, I have to learn how to read first.
Oh, yeah. Duh. Rosa doesn't have an education.
Of course she'd be illiterate. I want to write.
I want to write magic spells! Why would you want to do a dastardly thing like writing? Ah, 18th century France.
Why would you want to hit some crazy strings until your fingers bleed?
It takes a lot of effort to make your fingers bleed by playing the piano. A lot.
Oh,
Unless she's talking about another musical instrument. The two friends laughed again.
I want to remember things. I want to write them down. But most of all, I want to feel the way you do when you play the piano, Kath.
Oh?
The way you look when you play. You are passion and bliss in musical form. It feels like love, like magic. No, shit, I didn't say magic. What are you talking about? Nothing.
I mean, no. Actually, wait. Rosa might not be a witch at this point in the story.
That is true.
Ooh.
Or she has
Whoops.
a somewhat better disguise than Clark Kent, but not by much.
Oh, right-clicking just opens the menu. That's weird.
Huh.
Wait, did I accidentally? Oh, no. Okay.
No, we're good. You inspire me to do something fulfilling and grand.
Well, I'm sure you will. Hey, why not write a play one day?
Oh?
Yeah, let's do it. You write an amazing play, and I'll write the music. We'll travel around the country and perform. Just the two of us. I'm sure it'll work out. We'll make lots and lots of money. Unless I don't know, die or something. And gain lots of followers. We shall be known as...
And then we throw the followers into a meat grinder of a dungeon.
Oh no, I'm scared. What's the name gonna be? The Paris Parade Caravan of Wonders.
Para? Eh? Are you sure?
Puns are the best. Trust me.
That sounds darn batty, Kathy.
Ugh. From this day forward, nobody is allowed to call me Kathy ever again. The sound of a knock interrupted their giggles. Catherine, it's me.
That one was mean.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Go on, Alex.
I need to discuss something important with you.
I'm so used to having all the lines during the scene. Frustrated, Catherine pouted at the sound of her sister's voice. Oh shit. She turned back to her piano and began to pound a sarcastically happy tune. The subtitle's not wrong. This is a very sarcastically happy song. Rosa stood up to open the door.
Hello, Rosa. Madame?
Oh, it's all you. It's gonna be all you. She had seen little of the older Paris sister recently, and it astounded her how old she'd began to look. Her once radiant face looked tired and harrowed, almost crone-like. Under her eyes hung huge bags, and yet she still looked quite dignified, full of pride and pomp. There was an extra rouge on her skin, and her demeanor was elegant. It was as if pride was her only source of nourishment these days.
Do you mind giving Catherine and me a moment of privacy?
Rosa gave a small bow.
Of course not, madam.
Rosa gathered her nursery books and squeezed Catherine's shoulder before stepping out of the room, and entered the quiet room of the library. She was about to approach the table when she noticed Guilleme already occupying a seat. He was writing something in a book, somewhat immersed in the activity. Rosa stopped dead in her tracks. I say we risk the encounter.
Yeah, I say. I mean, both. He'll probably just say hi, anyways,
Yeah.
if we leave. Yeah, let's risk the encounter.
Just go in and ignore him, child. Why are you so nervous anyway? Just ignore him. He doesn't even seem to notice you. Unfortunately, Guilleme lifted his head and had seen her by the door. Oh, hello, Rosa. Rosa took a step back. Maybe it was best to walk away as if this were a mistake. But wouldn't that be rude? He had already seen her after all. But she had never been alone with him. It was just too awkward. Well, why not just go in? It was going to be fine. They had conversed normally before. Yes. That was because Catherine had been around to disperse her awkwardness.
Now I would look like an idiot.
Guilleme watched her pace in front of the door in amusement. Rosa decided to go in. She had already embarrassed herself enough anyway. There was little left to lose. Besides, there was nowhere else to go in this big house. She had already gotten lost in its hallways, much to the annoyance of the Maitre d'. Maitre d', whatever. The library was her favorite place. If she stayed quietly in one corner, Rosa was sure they wouldn't bother each other. She took a seat at the farthest corner of the table and opened her book.
Oh no, he's actually standing up and walking over. No, you horrible man, just sit over there while I sit over here. Nothing to worry about, just looking over my magics.
But Guilleme was already beside her, peeking at what she was reading.
What? This is magic? No.
A cold sweat spread across her scalp. Rosa, that book. Rosa began to chatter nervously.
I know it's a children's book. Sorry, I'm teaching myself to read. I know that most commoners don't really bother, but I wanna learn. So please don't laugh or mock me.
Guilleme pointed to the book. It is upside down. Rosa stared at it. The ducks in the picture had their feet up in the air.
It was a picture book. How do you?
I'm assuming it was because she was so like freaked out that Guilleme was here. Rosa squirmed, feeling the heat on her cheeks. She couldn't think of anything more embarrassing.
I'm sorry. Yes, that is the case. It is in fact upside. Yes.
Guilleme's face lost its cheer. What do you need my forgiveness for? Rosa looked up at Guilleme. His eyes lacked the gentle glint they usually had. It was such a subtle change. Something felt rather than observed. She thought he would reprimand her further. His face certainly looked like it. But instead, he sat down beside Rosa, drumming his fingers on his cheek while he watched her wordlessly. Well? Weren't you going to read? What was wrong with him today? He didn't seem like himself. Had he eaten something bad? The aura he exuded was not his usual friendly warmth, yet it wasn't really wicked either. The look on his face just read, slightly and eternally miffed. Rosa turned the book upright and read the words out loud.
Once you,
That is the U with the short sound. It is pronounced like this. Guilleme made the sound, his face still in his lazy stare. Rosa nodded and continued. Her nerves were frazzled, but she was actually at ease in his presence. She felt like a child being taught by her parent. The parent was strict, but still caring, and the child was jumpy, but eager to learn and to please. Most of all, he would not hurt her for mistakes. Rosa was almost sure.
They're libade?
Lived. The past tense of live. Oh shit, we're getting into
Quick,
some advanced.
quick halt for a second. This book is written in French.
It's an English translation, Alex. You know what they mean.
But also, why are they having random French words dispersed when they're already speaking in French?
I don't know. I'm assuming. Well, actually, I don't know. It's a free to play visual novel. I mean, we didn't have to pay any money for it, so I think we should cut them some slack.
Never. Why do we change it?
It is a rule of grammar
Wait,
that
she doesn't understand past tense? That's not a
Alec,
reading thing.
Alex, she's been teaching herself to read by reading nothing but children's books.
Yeah, but that's not a reading thing. That's something that also happens with speaking. She would recognize the past tense after he said it.
I think it's also the fact that she doesn't. It's probably that she just doesn't know what it's called, right? Like if you had no idea, if you had never taken an English class in your entire life, if you just learned by, you know, just by acting upon it, then probably don't actually know what most of it is called.
I'll
Such as with
accept that, but
this.
I'd like to put more faith in a human than that.
I mean, she's a commoner in the 18th century France. She hasn't really had much time to be academic.
Yeah, but that's like I understand that she doesn't have time to be academic. That's why I'm cutting it slack. But that's not something that I think would be necessarily academic. Anyways,
Moving on, Guilleme narrowed
Emma?
his eyes at her. Do you even know the alphabet? Rosa shook her head. See? She's literally just been teaching herself by books. Without actually teaching herself anything. She's just been looking at words.
Like I can understand not understanding written letters because you're using phonetics. I mean, it doesn't matter.
You should probably start there. Guilleme rose from his chair and disappeared among the shelves. He left behind an old, thick book, covered in green felt. This was what he had been writing in earlier. It looked tattered and worn. The pages laid fat on its sides so that the book didn't close properly. Rosa reached out to peek at the cover when, you are not to touch that.
Wait, I thought that was the one he just told her to start with.
No, that's the book he was writing in.
Yeah, but he said you should start with that one, and then we talk about.
No,
the
he's
book
going
that
to
he's
get the
writing.
book. He's going to pick up the book that she should start with.
Was he?
Yes.
Okay, the writing did not make that clear at all.
Well, Rosa's whole body froze at the sound of Guilleme's warning. Guilleme's stare followed her even as she whispered numerous apologies under her breath.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Guilleme just rolled his eyes. You were always seeking forgiveness for everything.
Am I? I'm...
His
Sorry?
hand struck the table in front of Rosa. In the quiet library, the sound rang uncomfortably in her ear. When she looked up, Guilleme's face was looming severely above hers. He moved closer to her, his eyes fixed on her intensely. Rosa's mouth hung open. She struggled to say something, but her wits were like the burning ends of a matchstick. Before she could compose herself, she felt Guilleme's hand lift her chin. Rosa's heart thumped loudly inside her chest.
Please don't. Not you too.
She felt his breath on her face, and her heart sank into despair. Mother's voice resonated in her head.
Resounded.
In the end, they are all the same. He is like everyone else. She shut her eye and prepared herself for the worst, like she always did with... But then she felt her face being turned from side to side. She opened her eye to see Guilleme studying her face like a textbook. You are a fairly attractive girl. Why do you carry yourself as if it is a slight? He lifted the hair that hid her damaged eye. Rosa clenched her teeth. Is it because you were hurt before? He said it so matter-of-factly, like he was stating that the sky was blue. Rosa recoiled from his touch.
No. I did that to myself.
I wasn't talking about your eye, Rosa. He placed a book on the table. It was a thin pamphlet filled with letters. There were lines on the book that instructed the user to trace letters with their quill. Rosa wanted to focus on it, but she could feel the truth in the Marquis's words stinging her. It is in the way you went limp when I touched you. Next time, I advise you to fight back. If you do not want to be touched, then you don't have to be. Do you understand this?
But I'm weak.
Says who? His eyes were humorless. The world cares not for people who think themselves as victims, Rosa. If you need power, then become powerful. To have it, it is necessary to crush things along the way. Rosa flinched under the weight of his stare. She realized that the polite and courteous Guilleme was but a facet. It was still him, but it was nothing but an oil portrait, an artwork of his devising. Synthetic, aloof, and irrelevant, it couldn't capture his essence in a few human strokes. Suddenly, Rosa realized that he was powerful. Who are you? She caught herself before saying it aloud. You are not Guilleme. And yet, she spoke to her as if he knew what it was like to hurt and to fear. If you don't start acting like you own yourself, then people will not hesitate to take everything. He laid out the rest of his books he had brought out. One was an activity book for children. It had a picture of a child holding an apple with an arrow stuck in it. Another was a book of limericks. The other two were thicker books that intimidated her. She would come to know them as Hamlet. Jesus Christ!
So, I got
We've
you a
gone
picture
from
book.
fucking-
I got you some worksheets and also some Shakespeare and Milton. That should be about good. All right, bye.
Jesus Christ, man. Starting... He is playing hardball right now. But the
I expect your essay on romanticism
Yeah.
at the end of the week.
Sir, this is a kindergarten class. No. But the one that caught her eye was an ornately designed book. It had a beautiful red jacket with delicate gold trimmings lining the corners. The gods and goddesses of Roman mythology. This would be her favorite book, her treasure, and she knew it like love at first sight. These books are yours. Take them with you. Read the thin ones first, and gradually build up your vocabulary with the thicker ones. Rosa ran her hands over the skin of the red book. She opened the cover gingerly, as if carefully unwrapping a present.
Thank you.
No thanks needed. I simply showed you some books from a portion of the library you were unaware of.
You're still so generous, even if you are like this.
What the fuck does that mean? Like what?
That,
What?
somewhat irritable?
Guilleme didn't reply, leaving an awkward silence lingering between them. Then he gave a giant laugh that made Rosa jump out of her skin.
Oh.
I do look damn irritable, don't I?
Why? Is it because of Amelie?
Guilleme's eyes drifted away. No. It's all I've always been. You just pointed it out.
But, Guilleme, you're not usually like this. Especially with Catherine and the townspeople.
I find it easy to adapt to people, especially to the ones that I like. Guilleme looked at Rosa as if he'd just become aware of her presence. It makes me wonder why I'm so stern with you. I'm sorry. Rosa shook her head.
I somehow prefer this side of you.
Guilleme cocked his head to the side, as is everyone who's reading the visual novel right now. He brought out the green book that Rosa noticed earlier. This is called a journal. When you learn to write, you should start one.
What is it?
Something you can use to remember yourself when you've forgotten.
Does it work?
It used to. Nowadays, not anymore.
Oh.
The act itself is the only thing I remember. Now, let's start with your vowels. For reference, there was an actual scream.
Okay.
It sounded like, I'm assuming it was one of the two in the
I'm
piano
assuming
room.
this is how Catherine died.
No, remember? Because she has to go through all her, like, delirious
Oh
phases
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
that's right, that's right.
But maybe that thing that happened at the ending of chapter 1 is happening again? It was Catherine. Oh boy! Guilleme sprinted to the door with Rosa not far behind. Back in the piano room, Catherine took a shaky step towards her sister. She wasn't moving at all. I didn't. It was an accident. I. Emily? She was overcome with the urge to approach her sister and shake her awake, make sure she was okay, but it was a nasty fall. Emily? Catherine saw the way her sister's head snapped back as it collided with the sharp corner of the piano. She watched it all like a series of photographs in her head. She had to check on her, but her feet refused to move. Instead, she began to retreat into the corner. She didn't even notice her legs were moving until her forehead touched the wall. She didn't want to turn around. Her sister was on the floor. Her eyes were still open, unblinking. It was an accident. It was nothing but an accident. Was it?
Would
She she pushed first. She got really scary. She strangled me. What? That's absurd. Are you sure? Would she do that? I don't know. I think she did. Catherine touched her throat. It felt fine. That Purée girl. Emily, isn't it? She really believes just because the Marquis took her in that he's interested in her? Well, she's obsessed with the master. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Wasn't her mother a bit, you know, not right in the head? It probably runs in the family. Oh my god, are we going to be in every character's head by the end of
maybe?
this?
Okay, I will say now that we have a slight break, I hate to be that person, but so this takes place in the first half of the 18th century, right? Because otherwise, the French Revolution would be all over this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
The first photograph wasn't taken until 1826. Catherine probably would not know what a photograph is or would use it for reference.
It was the exposition, though. So I think it should be taken with a grain of salt if it uses, stuff that didn't exist, because it's deliberately trying to appease the reader as opposed to appease any of the actual characters.
Eh,
It was more so the analogy of a photograph, I
I
think.
suppose I'm not a fan of the narration using terms that the time wouldn't have.
I mean, like, I don't know.
I think that breaks the illusion.
I don't really mind either way. But anyway, holy shit, I guess we're in Catherine's head now. Emily had looked mad. Her eyes had burned with malice for her as she had closed her fingers around Catherine's neck. But she couldn't remember if that had really happened. Sister was always kind to her. She would never ever hurt her, even when they got into fights. Sister loved her. Am I turning mad? I have the blood of a mad woman. Am I going to end up like her? I only told her the truth. Guilleme doesn't care for her, and she doesn't even care for him that much either. It was all just chaff, their relationship. No sense trying to make everyone else miserable, too. But she called me jealous and a bitch.
Okay,
She
so they
has...
translated that from French earlier, but now not?
I don't know. She has never called me a bitch. She said they've decided to send me away. My lessons sent home. The piano replaced. It was for my own good, she said. I don't have to travel here all the time. I can concentrate on my other endeavors. I can make new friends. But I know she just doesn't want me near the chateau or Guilleme. She hates it when I catch her with him. Perhaps this morning was the last straw. She hates it, but she also smirks at me when I see them. Like like she basks in it. I think I might hate her. Catherine's thoughts ran through her head like a storm. They poured out of her aimlessly. Storms weren't invented until,
Oh,
well
hush.
into the 19th century.
You know what I meant.
I'm just picking on you now.
Sorry, it really didn't feel that way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. On that note, though, at some point I was going to mention you're pronouncing Guilleme completely wrong.
Damn it! I'll just call him Gilly. I don't care. We're
Okay.
calling it Catherine as Gilly. Fucking... I speak Spanish, where everything is phonetic. Phonetic!
Subtlety! Silent vowels! Silent noises!
At least... whatever. They poured out of her aimlessly. I wonder if the piano is broken. Am I going to pay for it? What will become of us without sister's wages? What of father's medicine? What of my dreams? Sister can't be dead. Sister can't be dead. Catherine brought her fingers to her lips and nibbled on her thumb. She didn't notice this. Her mind was preoccupied. She was in the corner of the wall, biting her fingers. It was a tiny comfort in a rapidly collapsing world. Guilleme opened the door and found Emily lying on the floor. I fucking said his name again. How the fuck do you pronounce it?
Guilleme. You have to pronounce the M.
I thought I didn't have to pronounce the M.
No, you do have to pronounce the M.
Son of a bitch. An ugly gash broke the skin of her forehead. Facing the wall was Catherine, shivering like a leaf and viciously devouring one of her fingernails. He approached her cautiously. Catherine? Rosa was out of breath, so she was in the background, but she was still able to let out a gasp at the scene. Emily's lifeless eyes stared up at nothing while Catherine pressed herself into the corner. What had happened after she left? Rosa, will you call for help, please? See that someone checks on Emily. Rosa did as she was told, but what she really wanted was hug Catherine herself. Guilleme took a small step towards her. He called out her name, slowly, coaxingly. Catherine turned her head, her thumb still on her lower lip. It was an accident, I swear. Of course it was, Catherine, of course it was. She pushed me first. She wanted me sent away. She wanted me gone. You can tell me about it later. Let me take you away from this room. What have I done? Catherine fell to her knees and wept. Large sobs sucked the air out of her. She felt like drowning, trying to keep herself afloat in between sobs. Every exhale was a squeezing pain in her lungs. She felt Guilleme's arms wrap around her. What have I done? What have I done? You didn't do anything, ma chérie. This is not your fault. There was a bitter bulge building up in her throat. She felt that no amount of crying could push it back down. What am I going to do? Father, his sister. I'm so scared. Guilleme's arms wound tighter around her, and she clutched onto his warmth in this vast sea of fear. You don't have to be. I will always be by your side. Catherine, I will take care of you and your father, all right? You don't have to worry about your future. Her tears soaked his shirt through, but the squeezing in her chest felt less painful. Why? Why do you do this? Why do you care so much for me? Guilleme's eyebrows furrowed, as if confused that she even asked. I just do. It was a boldly stated fact, as if painfully obvious, as if Catherine was a fool for not knowing it. It made Catherine's heart expand in her ribs. When she looked back, she would recall this as the moment she fell in love with him. The look... Really, Alex?
Just opening out for later.
Alex just opened RPG Maker in the background. The look in his eyes was reassuring and strong. She wasn't alone. She was going to be all right. Let's get you away from here. He supported her arms and stood her up, careful to block the view of her sister from her eyes. He led her to the door. Catherine hated how fast the relief came. She was still drenched in sorrow at her sister's death. Her father would not take well to the news, especially in his health. But she was all right, and she hated it. Rosa was with her. She didn't have to leave her piano, her dreams, him. Nothing had to change, and most importantly, she hated the voice that came whispering in her head over and over again. Thank goodness she's dead. Thank goodness. The first candle is lit. This candle is storage. The love for familiars. The cleanest love. Rosa stared at the blue candle glowing in her hand. Oh, she does know this. She does know spells already. Well, as she chanted her spell. Trust is the veil that conceals and deceives. Trick his eyes and his heart with the warmth from this candle's flame. A bond of blood like kin will be forged. Weave this trust so his tongue will yield to what is sought. Rosa stood by Catherine's tomb, nursing memories of her. The soft wind lightly blew her hair. It reminded her of Catherine and her playful ways. Tears sprouted from her eye. Even the wind. Console her. Console this poor girl. I am always here, my love. Loss will always hurt. But you love Mother the best, don't you?
Yes.
Alex, it's you. Alex.
Yeah, I know. I literally just said it.
Then you are going to be fine. I will never leave you like Catherine did. Rosa. Guilleme's soft voice came from behind. Rosa glanced at him in acknowledgement. He stood quietly beside her for a few moments, but ventured to speak. Have you thought about my offer? My house is always open for you. Remember that.
I'm sorry for my outburst back then.
It's nothing. The wind played around their feet, and Rosa pictured Catherine as part of the breeze, playful and free. She was free from the pain and confusion that had plagued her in her last days. They stood beside each other in solemn reverence. Finally, Rosa broke the silence.
She was my family. I was in pain before she came along. I didn't know any better. She gave me hope. Do you need me to repeat that one? Or?
No, I'm looking at the audio readout. Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
She was bright, like a flame.
Alright, that's a bit better.
When I close my eyes, I can still see the imprint of her light in the darkness. I can feel her warmth.
A star. They didn't speak again for some time. Guilleme cleared his throat. I was an orphan too, much like you. I know what it feels like to lose too much. I wandered for a long time before I found anything to live for.
Were you alone?
Sometimes. Rather, always. Rosa nodded.
Did you have family?
Guilleme shifted uncomfortably. No, they left me behind. I never knew them. Much of my memory of it is blurred, but I was taken in by kind people once before, but... Guilleme sighed, and Rosa observed a certain disquiet in him. I didn't belong there.
But you have no difficulty mingling with people.
I think of that as a necessity rather than a preference. But either way, it can be quite tiresome after a while. Things just don't last. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I'm making the mood worse. I'm sorry.
I don't mind.
Guilleme had never opened up to her about his past before, and it worried Rosa how little she actually knew about him. Anyway, would you like to go around town? I'd very much like to take you to some place much more cheery.
How about our favorite spot?
Guilleme smiled with understanding. The pair traveled up a hill at the edge of the town, and the sunrise was really fucking bright. Holy shit.
Also, if he wasn't born a Marquis, like if he wasn't born to the First Estate, never mind.
I mean, shit like that happened even in 18th century France, and they did say that he was a foreigner. So it's not like people trust him.
Which makes it even less likely, but...
There, the view overlooked the quaint village.
You have to understand, 18th century France basically was the poster child for class warfare.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why they've had so many goddamn revolutions.
Really, they only had the... Well, the big one was more like a cavalcade of smaller revolutions, so...
But Alex...
Yeah?
Alex, what do you call a party in France?
A Dance Dance Revolution.
No, it's just party. It literally sounds exactly like the English. Because the English word for party probably came from France.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have made such a shitty joke.
Really, the only way to respond to it was in the most literal way possible.
Not
it's
a
my
single
defense mechanism.
laugh. Alex's defense against bad jokes is to just respond literally. As always.
So that's why I always respond literally to you.
Yup, because all of my jokes are awful. At least now we know.
Yep.
The sunset painted everything in the pink glow of dusk, of endings.
It is always so beautiful here.
They used to spend time in this grassy knoll. The three of them. It was their own little hideaway. Memories of the past crept up over every corner, the ghost of laughter echoing in the wind. Rosa touched the trunk of the small tree they had carved their names on. So many fond memories. Rosa, I want you to have this. Guilleme took Rosa's hand and placed an item in her palm. It was a simple silver locket. She looked up at him questioningly. I've had this locket for as long as I can remember. It's one of my remembrances of the past.
Guilleme, I can't take this.
You must. You need it now more than I do.
Meh.
It's old, and the locket doesn't even open anymore. I don't know why I've held on to it for so long. Can't even remember how I came to have it. But it comforts me. Maybe it will have the same effect on you.
This is your treasure, Guilleme. It feels wrong to take it.
On the contrary, I believe you must have it. Whoa, you okay?
Yeah, sorry. Something just fell near the computer.
Call it a hunch or a feeling, an urge on my part. I am not good with expressing sorrow or even giving comfort, but I want to do something, at least. For you. He closed his hands over hers, affirming the gift. It is yours. Please take it. You are wrong if you think I'm letting you stay in the castle simply for Catherine's sake. I do it of my own accord. Let me do this for you, Rosa. We have been friends for quite a while. If you need to leave, at least stay until you feel ready to go.
All right. But I will continue working in your household for my lodging.
You don't have to do that. I can raise your status to that of a lady. You can read and write now, and very well. I'm sure you will be more comfortable in a higher position.
So that's how he became a Marquis. He fucked his way up.
Yep.
That is an explanation I'm willing to
he
willing to
swabbed
take.
his way to the top. Swab to the top.
No. No, we do not make those references.
Zip zap zop, flop like a mop.
I have no need for a higher position. Just free access to your library. Le bibliothèque, s'il vous plaît.
You have come a long way from the shy girl back then, Rosa. Watching you grow has been a pleasure. Yes, of course, the library is yours. They were quiet for a while, only conversing through looks, smiles, and tiny sighs. Rosa realized that she had been holding onto Guilleme's hand all that time. She broke off from his hold, rather embarrassed.
We should head back.
You're right, it's getting quite late. Guilleme walked over to the carriage to get it ready. Excellent, child! Being a maid...
What if you just turned the mom into Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged Series Merrick?
Yes. Being a maid in this household will give you free access to his rooms. He trusts you completely. It seems that the candle worked. Oh, fuck!
I guess so.
Rosa looked at the silver necklace in her hand. She fiddled with it, trying to open the lock. Oh, fuck.
Let's open it.
This is gonna be like a thing, isn't it? Open that locket. I'd like to see what's inside. An object that he owns will make any enchantment more powerful. Rosa fussed with the pendant for a while, but like Guilleme said, it was stuck.
I'll try again, Mother. I'm rather curious about it myself.
The spell will start its effect in stages, gradually uncovering his true face. Fondness first, then trust. Familiarity. Rosa sighed. But was a spell necessary at all? Didn't she already have that with Guilleme? Rosa bit her lip, remembering the warmth of his hand. They had known each other for such a long time. It was rather comforting to have someone to mourn with. However, Rosa did find it strange that Guilleme rarely even mentioned Catherine anymore.
And it was been like 5 days, 6 days, something like that?
It was as if he was shedding off like skin. I don't know. Again, the pain in her throat resurfaced. The memory of the needles made her stomach lurch. Since her friend had died, the Marquis had begun spending all his hours locked in his office. He barely showed himself socially, rarely even attended meals. Isn't that a sign of obvious depression? Isn't that an extension of guilt? What the fuck are we talking about?
But then again, these characters making, logical decisions and noting parts of their surroundings, that's asking a bit much.
It's really, I don't think the Guilleme is actually, guilty at all. He's just really depressed.
Yeah.
He hasn't actually done anything shitty.
Unless he turns out to be a demon from Mars.
I mean, this might be... I'm worried that this is going to be one of those games where our choices affect, the twist at the end. So it's if we incriminate him, then he is evil, and if we don't, then he's not.
Right. Or for the extra capricious, if we incriminate him, he's innocent and he dies anyway.
Oh god, that's awful. And if we trust him, then he turns out to be evil.
Yeah.
The dick version. But they were
I'll try that at some point in my own games.
No, don't. But they were casting a powerful spell, something that might harm Guilleme. What if he was, after all, innocent? She had years of good memories with him. What was she even expecting to find out? Exactly how could she live with the guilt of 2 dead friends? Rosa sighed again. She cared for him. Ugh, my throat is killing me. Despite all the suspicions, she knew that much. But Mother was adamant. 3 candles for 3 loves. A fitting curse for a man who frolics in love's domain. Storge, the love for familiars. Philia, the love for friends. And Eros, the love for lust.
Are we forgetting Agape there?
Open his heart with Storge. Unmask him with Philia. Strike him down with Eros.
Yeah, we're forgetting Agape.
Yet Rosa kept a 4th candle. One sheet. Yes! Suck it, Alex. This game knows what it's doing.
I was right.
Unconditional love. She didn't know whether she would ever use it. Mother, of course, would object. But just in case arrow successfully struck Guilleme, she wished to light Agape. At least to give him peace before. Rosa walked towards Guilleme, a pang of anxiousness biting at her. Rise, my daughter! The work lays ahead. To bring him down, we must find his weakness, and then we attack.
What is thy bidding, my mother?
His due punishment will be swift, my dear daughter. Do it for mother. Oh, chapter 4! Metamorphoses!
I
Alright,
swear to God, if we wake up with a giant cockroach in the bed, I'm leaving.
alright. I think that is where we're going to leave it there for tonight. So, alright, we're going to move on to Sacred 2, I think. So, y'all have a great time. If you were just here for Cupid, then we will see you here probably tomorrow.
And next week we have the special guest of Kafka, so got that to look forward to.
Alright. See you in a bit, everybody. Bye.